When I fertilize my tomato plants, I use Epsom salt and organic gardening all-purpose plant food from Eco Scraps.
Mommy.
The NPK is 555, which means 5% nitrogen, 5% phosphorus, 5% potassium, and you can find that information right here on the side of the bag. 1 second. Epsom salt helps with the green leafing and of the plant. It can also help with what is called blossom end rot. I did a video on that months ago, so please check out the playlist. And then of course the 555 organic fertilizer just gives it all around good fertilizing. And I probably do this about, the Epsom salt I only do like once or twice a season. This I may do maybe two or three times with some also some water soluble fertilizer, the fish emulsion. But I'm not going to do the fish emulsion today. I will hit my new tomato plant with that when I get ready to fertilize the whole garden. Whenever you're transplanting, putting a new plant in your garden, wherever you want it, you might want to go ahead and water a little bit, even if you expect it to rain. So here's some rainwater in this jar that I'm going to use to water this new plant into its new home. All right, I'm going to plant this tomato plant that my mom grew from seed. It's a beefsteak tomato, and we're going to plant it in the ground amongst all the wood chips that I have here. And I made sure that I dug down pretty deep. That's about 5 inches, 6 inches deep. I backfilled a little bit. You want to plant up to the first set of leaves on the tomato plant. You can even take these leaves off, which I think I'm going to do right here, and plant all the way up to here on the plant. Wherever the soil hits the stem of a tomato plant, new roots will grow out. So this will help the plant become really, really sturdy and really, really strong. All right, I'm not really measuring here, but you just want to give it just a little bit of Epsom salt. Okay, and a little bit of plant food. And it's such a big hole, and I am putting this in the bottom so the roots have access to it eventually. And about a teaspoon, and then I'm going to mix it into the soil just like so. I'm adding a little bit of potting mix because this is clay soil and I just want to help with drainage, so just adding a little bit of that in as I go, just a little. All right, so I got my tomato plant and didn't have much of a root ball, so it just fell out of my hand. But anywho, it's okay. So I'm going to pick it up here and place it in the hole. Now, you can see that I've buried the hole pretty much as high as I want the soil to go on the stem. And I'm just going to barely start to backfill just a bit. Or not barely, but carefully. Again, I got some clay soil here. So I'm just going to backfill, and it's going to clump up a little bit. Oop, got some worms there. See the worm? So I know that clay soil is rich in minerals, but again, you just want good drainage. So I'm going to add some clay, and then I'm going to add a little bit more potting soil as I go, and the clay, potting soil, and just make sure I mix it together. Okay, some more potting mix. More clay, just like that, and I'm going to fill it all the way up. More worms till about here, and then I'll come back. Okay, we got it in there. And so one thing to remember, you do not want any leaves touching the soil. Sometimes there are funguses and diseases in the soil, and so to prevent that from splashing up onto the plant and onto the leaves, you want to make sure that you take all the leaves off the bottom as close as you possibly can, the ones that are closer to the soil. And then we're going to mulch as well with some wood chips around. And we want to make sure that we do that for water retention, and it keeps the soil a little bit cool. And then we also want to create a barrier around the plant so that, again, that soil doesn't splash up onto the leaves.
Don't step in it.
All right, it's all done. The last thing to do is to water it in. And I'm just going to pour a little bit of rainwater in there that I collected. And then tomato plants like to be watered very, very deep and infrequently, but frequently at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense, but you want to water deeply, and you want to make sure that they are well established as you are planting new plants. That'll help with the root system there, getting acclimated to the new environment. And that is that. I also, with most of my tomato plants, put some eggshells around them. This helps with pests, so slugs and snails that like to climb up on the leaves and eat the leaves. So it kind of creates a little barrier. I'll do the same thing with this plant as well. Last but not least, you want to stake your tomato before it gets too big and establishes the root system. It just helps not to interrupt the roots later on, but there's all kinds of things you can do to stake. You can use these poles. I bought this like a pack for like $5 on clearance. And so this is about a 4 or 5 foot tall stake that I use. And again, we want to train the tomato plant to go up the stake, and you may have to tie it off, okay, at certain points, because as it bears fruit, the plant will get heavy and topple over. So the stake will help kind of give it some support. I have large limbs as well. Reusing what nature gives you is really cool to do. So you can actually use large limbs. So if you want to cut down cost in the gardening, then try that. Just get your hammer and nail that sucker in the ground, okay? And you are golden. Thank you all for watching. I hope this helps. Let me know in the comments section below if you have any other questions about planting tomato plants. Stay tuned. Soon I will have videos on tomato diseases.